For the longest time, I've always considered the iPad a supplementary device to either a Mac or PC. Sure, it's got iPad OS and mouse and keyboard support now, but that doesn't make it an overall replacement for a dedicated desktop computer. Or does it? I've always made desk setups for MacBooks or PCs, but this question had me wondering, is there a way to integrate an iPad as a main desktop machine into a setup that's actually usable? So I've spent the last week making my best attempt at an iPad only setup, and I'm also excited to tell you that this video is brought to you by Paperlike. So let's get into it. Starting with the desk, this is an IKEA creation. It's a Carby kitchen tabletop which serves as the desktop. An Alex drawer unit on the left and a trestle on the right make up the rest. I've spoken about the desk itself time and time again, so if you want a full rundown then go check out my MacBook Pro desk setup. But I've had it for years now and I really wouldn't look back. It's basically perfect for me. Powering the entire setup is the 2020 iPad Air in sky blue. This is a Wi-Fi version with 256GB of storage, and the new Airs really are awesome iPads, and thanks to that all new A14 chip inside, it's wicked fast and it copes with literally anything I throw at it. And it shows what it's made of when it comes to gaming performance and heavy video editing tasks. It's a great computer, and if you can deal with the 64GB base model version, it's actually really well priced too. One of the main things I wanted to ensure with this setup is that I had complete access to the iPad itself, so everything really is as wireless as it can be, and rather than putting the iPad in a stand or closing it completely, it's always open and accessible. I've used the iPad Smart Folio case to do this, which props it open in a way that makes using the pencil or just general touch input super comfortable. The pencil can still charge as well by connecting to the bottom of the iPad. For a keyboard, I'm using the Microsoft Surface Bluetooth one, which is very reminiscent of an Apple Magic keyboard. I was going to use a mechanical keyboard like the Kiroku K2, but this suits the aesthetic better, and I've always been a big fan of this Microsoft one. Next to that is the Logitech MX Master mouse. This is the first version and I've had it for so long. It's a great mouse and is still one of the most comfortable out there in my opinion, and I can't recommend the MX series enough really. I'll probably upgrade at some point to the Mark III, but for now this really is fine. To keep everything as wire-free as possible, I've gone with a single USB-C solution again. This not only delivers signal to the monitor, but it also powers and charges the iPad as well. This is one of the reasons I really love this USB-C connection, is because everything can go through it. The monitor itself is the Dell UltraSharp U2720Q. It's a wonderful 4K IPS display that I picked up quite recently, and not only because the colour accuracy matches my MacBook Pro quite closely, but also because of the USB-C features, which just makes connecting everything nice and simple. Obviously, as the iPad is the main computer here, it needs to have some good I/O. To do this, I've gone with a USB-C adapter from a company I certainly can't pronounce correctly. And rather than place it in the iPad itself like it's designed to be, it's actually plugged directly into the monitor, which then links back to the iPad through that single USB-C cable. This opens up a bunch of ports for the iPad, including SD card readers and also a headphone jack, which is ideal. I've also started using a screen protector for the iPad too, which brings us round to today's sponsor, Paperlike. Paperlike is a screen protector for the iPad that's been created to make it feel like you're really writing, sketching or doodling on paper. If you're a big user of the Apple Pencil like I am, then you will love this. The textured surface grips the pencil a lot better, making you more accurate with your pencil strokes, and it gets rid of that unnatural drawing on glass feeling. Paperlike has a great matte finish, removing pretty much all of the glare on the screen, and more importantly in my opinion, it removes most of those gross fingerprints that the iPad accumulates after a long session. Each pack contains 2 Paperlike screen protectors and ships for free worldwide with 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you love taking notes, drawing, or just hate fingerprints getting on your iPad, then be sure to check them out in the link below, and thanks again to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. Off to the right of the desk I have the Apple MagSafe wireless charger, which I generally put my iPhone on when I'm sitting down, and the Rode NT USB Mini. This is a perfect little microphone for the iPad, and it connects via a single cable and provides great quality audio for something like a podcast or a voiceover. It's a wonderful plug and play affair with no setup pains at all. I really like it, and if you're wondering how it sounds, well, I'm using it right now for this very voiceover. Moving to the left side of the desk, I've got the Link Amiibo because he's obviously the best, and this Totoro figure, but more importantly is the 8BitDo SN30 Pro Bluetooth controller. I only recently picked this up and I'm utterly in love with it. Not only are the retro stylings cool, but the modern twist of 2 analog sticks make it a competent controller for nearly any game. I've really been enjoying it on the iPad. Apple Arcade games like The Pathless are excellent with a controller, and it's also a perfect match for Google Stadia. Games like Cyberpunk 2077 are a joy to play with this, and Stadia on iPad is just awesome in general. If your connection is nice and stable, I would certainly recommend giving it a go. To add to all of that, you can also use it on a Nintendo Switch as a standard controller, which is awesome. I really love this thing. That pretty much explains everything on the desk. As I mentioned, I wanted the iPad to be totally accessible at all times, and this setup allows me to create modular scenarios around it. One for gaming, one for note-taking, one for general use, one for podcasting, and so on. And if I ever need to take the iPad somewhere with me, it's just one cable to unplug and go. I would feel remiss if I didn't mention the bad points too, of course. I still find it kind of crazy that Apple hasn't allowed the iPad to fill the monitor that it's attached to. There are some ways around that using apps like Shift Screen, but it always feels forced and never ideal. The worst part is that some apps like the Photos one will fill the external monitor completely, so it's clearly possible and has been implemented in places. I feel like there's so much space for Apple to really take advantage of this. Connecting the iPad right now simply mirrors the display, but it makes me wonder what's possible if they allowed them to be completely separate. That aside, this is the desk setup I'm going to use moving forward. In fact, this video links directly to my next one where I'm going to put aside my PC and MacBook Pro and just use this setup alone to see how I get on, so be sure to check that out. So that's pretty much it. If you've got any suggestions for this setup, any changes I should make, then please let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button on the way out too, that would be massive, and I will see you all in the next one.